Hello heroes and welcome to a quick Heroes of the Shire video. You're with Damien Senior, and today we are just going to showcase some of the game components that come in some of our game boxes. So it's not going to be a deep dive, it's just going to be a really quick overview to give you guys a scale of the content that's available. So the first thing we're going to look at is these gameplay reference sheets. There are 6 of them. We've still got absolutely tons of stuff that we've left in the boxes, all 32 heroes. We haven't got any of them out because that would take up at least double this amount of floor space. So these gameplay reference sheets here, they're double-sided. These are designed to help you not look into the rulebook too much. So here we have all the upkeeps and phases, and then we have pulled out of the rulebook all of the conditions in the game and some of the commonly used icons that you'll find on spells. Okay, so again, it's less rulebook diving and more just reference sheets to hand. So there's 6 of those, one for each player. We've got over here, we've got the turn order board. We have some token tracking cards. We have some ally cards that go with the quests. We've got some trash modification cards. We've got the wandering merchant that sets up shop. We've got 91 loot items there. We have the generic enemy movement deck and the generic hero movement deck. Then we have the 26 exploration cards. There's another 8 still in the box that get shuffled into this deck. Depending on the the action cards and the story that you unfold, it might tell you that you've alerted a patrol, shuffle cards number 30 and 31 into this deck. Then we have the AI deck over here. You only use the passive deck there, and depending on the trait of the monsters that you bump into on your journey, you'll shuffle in these stronger abilities. So from the aggressive or the defensive decks, they'll get shuffled into this deck here. Okay, let's have a quick look at the light scenario first. So this is one of the binders. You can feel, or sorry, you can't feel anything. You can hear how thick these pages are. This is not thin paper, this is nice thick card to be durable because it's a playing surface. So you've got one of these binders, 54 pages for each of the scenarios. So if you've only got the light and shadow box, then you'll have 108 pages. Actually, I think this binder is 58 pages and the other one's 54. So you'll have about 110 pages, give or take, of these combat maps. Then over here we have the movement cards that are specific to this light-themed scenario. These little mini campaigns are what we call these scenarios here that'll take about 25 hours to complete. So these are the light themed cards. They'll get shuffled into this deck here to be thematic to the environment that you're traveling across. And speaking of thematic to the environment, here's one of the bosses. Here's another one of the bosses. Here is the mini boss. And what do we got over here? Sorry, I'm having traverse across my living room floor. There's the snake, there's some of their pets. These are the action cards. There's some of the mobs for this light themed scenario here. Okay, let's move across. We've got the shadow scenario here. We've got their 10 movement cards. We've got some tokens there that was in one of the envelopes. And again, I've left loads of tokens in all these envelopes, mostly because I just didn't have the space on my living room floor to, to get them all out. So this is the Roman mini boss. We've got the mobs over there. We've got the scenario hexes here. We've got some of the acrylic standees. We've got some of the action cards over there. We've got the bosses with their cards. And then don't forget that every single one of these hexes has its own dual page. So you can see here, this is hex 3, and it says it's the pathway to the bleeding altar. So let's have a quick look here. We've got 1, 2, 3. So yeah, it's this hex here. This is obviously much more saturated. We've desaturated it on the pages here so that you can actually see the grid lines. But it is that hex. A little bit of flavour up there. The key down here to tell you what the blood altar does. And then we've got the resource timeline and damage multipliers. Okay. Moving on then. If you have the previous games, or if you've gone all in, you'll also be getting the fire realm, the fire scenario. You can see first boss, second boss, third boss. We've got the story cards over there. We've got some of the mob cards over here, boss cards. And then moving on to the ice scenario, we've got the story cards, we've got the hexes, the stanzies, the mobs, we've got the bosses, and then let's go to the earth and water. So over here we've got one of the earth bosses, the earth story cards, we've got the earth second boss over there with the modification cards. Here are the hexes. And one of the things I love about this game is that these hexes, the artwork all matches up, which a lot of these types of games, when they're all modular, the story doesn't flow visually. Sure, you've got your book and the story will flow in your narrative, but thematically, there, you know, one minute you're in a desert, then you're in the caverns, then you're at the sea, etc. You know, like a Catan style hex system. Here we like the fact that the hexes are laid out the same every time. Okay, the world's randomly generated through exploration decks. So if you were to flip this hex over here, one campaign you might find some loot items there, then you might have a story card there, then you might have a battle there. Okay, then you might have another battle there. So during that campaign you've seen a battle there and a battle there. Then the next time you rerun it, okay, you might open up with a battle here, you might decide to follow this way, you might have a battle there, and then when you traverse across these hexes you might find loot items there, a story there. This one will alert the Roman mini boss and they'll be moving around the hexes, etc. Okay, we've got the mobs there for the earth scenario, mobs there for the, sorry, it's just I'm having to not tread on these pieces because there's so much stuff across the living room floor. One of the water bosses here, another water boss there, another water boss there. Let's have a quick look at some of these hexes. And I want you to guys to try and visualize is look at all this gorgeous artwork on these hexes here. Port there, ship out there, over to the rocks here. Each one of these, the combat map is really thematic to the artwork, to the terrain, because we created the artwork first and then we've designed the tactical combat maps around all this different artwork. So you got here in the earth scenario, you're on the road at first, then you come across towards the swamps, then you've got a little small sort of village over here. We've got what looks like sort of a Stonehenge, rocks here. This is a local sort of monument to where I live, and it's a stone circle, the Western Rin stone circle. Okay, so yeah, and then let's have another quick look here. You've got the ice scenario. Coming over to, sorry, it doesn't really help that you can see I'm in the middle of all of this beautifulness. What's missing then? Let me just sort of step back actually, so bear with me. Should have done this as a live, shouldn't I, instead of a video. So right now you can see that we've got the binders for the light scenario and the shadow scenario. We don't have the binders right now for the fire, for the ice, for the earth and for the water, and that's because they don't come in those boxes. That's part of the Reforged add-on, which brings all of the updates for the original 4 scenarios, the fire, ice, earth and water, to bring them up to speed with the light and shadow. So you can see the light and shadow here. Sorry, I've knocked that walking across it, but there's 4 standees here. But if you can see in the distance there on the ice scenario, there's only 3, because one standee's missing because it's one of the mini bosses, and the mini bosses are something brand new to light and shadow. So again, for the original scenarios, they will come in the Reforged add-on. So there's about 230 pages of tactical combat maps missing. There's a bunch of standees missing, and that's all in the Reforged add-on that we haven't prototyped yet. But you can see just a small amount here.